This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
الأخبار الدموية تعود باكستان من جديد عودة خطة.
Pakistan has returned to the front page of bloody headlines. The city of Lahore woke up this morning to the images of terror. The city's stadium witnessed a terror attack carried out by masked gunmen who opened fire on the Sri Lankan cricket team. At least 6 Pakistani police officers and 2 civilians were killed, and 6 Sri Lankan cricketers were wounded in the attack. The authorities in Islamabad opened an immediate investigation into the attack. Meanwhile, local officials said that the incident bore similarities to the Mumbai attacks. Muna Abu Diab reports.
بطريقة استعراضية ومحكمة التخطيط.
In a well-planned and organized plot, masked gunmen carried out an attack lasting several minutes.
ساحة ليبرتي محاذية للملعب الرياضي في مدينة.
The scene of the incident was the Liberty Square near to the cricket stadium in the Pakistani city of Lahore. The details of the incident were captured on cameras. Nearly 12 masked gunmen on motorcycles ambushed the convoy of the Sri Lankan cricket team.
التي كانت تقل فريق سريلانكا للكريكت.
At 9 in the morning, 12 heavily armed and masked terrorists attacked the Sri Lankan cricket team. I'm very proud of my policemen who sacrificed their lives during this attack.
بأسلحة تراوحت بين القنابل والقذائف.
Armed with hand grenades, rocket launchers, and machine guns, the terrorists were able to turn the place into a battlefront. Several Pakistani policemen and civilians were killed, and 6 Sri Lankan cricketers, including the team's coach, were wounded.
The attack was well organized. The attackers were heavily armed. It was not an ordinary attack. The method used in the attack reminds us of the attacks on Mumbai.
The parallel drawn between the 2 attacks, whether it's real or coincidental, is a question that the investigation will answer. However, initial reports have confirmed that the Lahore attack is part of a larger operation still in the execution phase. This comes after the security forces were able to dismantle 2 booby-trapped cars planted with nearly 3 kilograms of explosives. The security agencies also seized several bombs and bomb-detonating devices at the scene. This means that the bloody scenario the attackers were preparing for the city of Lahore far exceeds the attack on the convoy of the Sri Lankan cricket team.
Pakistan's former cricketer and the leader of the Movement for Justice Party, Imran Khan, has slammed the terrorist attack on the visiting Sri Lankan cricket team. In an exclusive interview with Press TV, Khan says there seems to be foreign hands in the incident.
This is definitely a foreign hand because it does not fit in with the normal terrorism that Pakistan has seen, which is related to Pakistan joining in Bush administration's war on terror, because that targeted either the security forces or the police, and recently all those politicians who are supposed to be aligned with the American war on terror. So this is completely different, and that's why I suspect that there's a foreign hand, because I feel this was time to make international news. Forget about sports, it's going to affect investors. No foreigners are going to come to Pakistan, no tourists will come to Pakistan. As it is, things were bad, but this is really going to exacerbate the situation. So I feel it is someone who wanted to destabilize Pakistan.
Well, Imran Khan went on to say that the country would not remain peaceful unless Pakistan pulls out of the so-called war on terror.
No chance of there being any sports in Pakistan unless Pakistan pulls out of this war on terror. Unless we pull out of a war which is someone else's war. Unless we pull out and tell the Obama administration that there is no military solution to this nonsense. They have to have political dialogue. They have to have a timetable of withdrawal from Afghanistan. Pakistan Army must pull out from the tribal areas, win over the people to your side and deal with the few terrorists, rather than this insane policy which is creating terrorism and destabilizing the whole area, especially Pakistan.
The Sudanese President Omar Hassan al-Bashir reiterated that his country could care less about the International Criminal Court's decision to indict him. He said that his country is committed to achieving peace in Darfur.
He made these statements during a speech in the area of Marawi in the northern provinces of Sudan. Public celebrations were held there to honor a power plant project on one of the recently built dams there. Al-Bashir's speech comes on the eve before the International Criminal Court decided to issue a warrant for his arrest.
The Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir gave a speech in the area of Marawi in the northern province, where celebrations were held to commemorate a power plant project recently built on one of the largest dams in Africa. The Sudanese president's speech came one day before the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. Al-Bashir reiterated his country's defiance to Western countries that have been targeting Sudan, saying that development will continue in his country despite sanctions, aggression, and attempts to spread ethnic strife there. He said that Sudan is not preoccupied with any decision against him.
Their objective is to end development in Sudan. They want to preoccupy us with their issues and accusations. We will not be preoccupied with these issues. They will make a decision tomorrow. Let them make their decision and another decision and a third decision and a 10th decision.
The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court demanded on July 4, 2008, that a warrant be issued against the Sudanese president, saying that he is partially responsible for genocide against the tribes of Fur, Masalet, and Zagawa in Darfur.
I think that it is clear in 2003, 2005, and even now, the Sudanese army and the Janjaweed militia have attacked civilians in Darfur and have directly attacked these three tribes. They've killed, raped, and looted. There is strong evidence, and we have many documents proving that, in addition to more than 100 witnesses.
The armed militia that fight against the government in Darfur, including the Justice and Equality Movement, said that the warrant was designed to pressure the government to solve the problem of Darfur. The Justice and Equality Movement said that the indictment will pressure the Sudanese government to solve the problem of Darfur and to push the peace process forward. This news comes despite the recent agreement that the movement signed with Khartoum in the Qatari capital of Doha in order to build confidence between each other and a show of goodwill.
There is no question that the indictment creates a great deal of psychological and political pressure. The Sudanese government is required to go to the International Criminal Court.
Within a few hours, the International Criminal Court will make a decision. Of course, hundreds of thousands of people are waiting in Darfur. They may support or oppose the indictment, but all of them are waiting for peace to prevail, something that has been missing for 6 years.
Joining us from Khartoum, the chief editor of Sudan's Vision newspaper, Saif al-Islam al-Bashir. Mr. Saif al-Islam, how did you read al-Bashir's call not to care about the decisions of the International Criminal Court?
الواقع يدرك الرئيس السوداني المشير عمر البشير
The Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir and others know that the decisions that will be made by the United Nations Security Council will be faced with the reality on the ground. Their decisions may not be applicable on the ground, which is the opposite of what many international entities think. In addition, al-Bashir's speech was based on many experiences that he went through in the past, starting with the United Nations Resolution 1070 in 1996. Many think that the United Nations resolutions are binding and that they have to be implemented, and that they will have quick impact on the situation in Sudan. But United Nations Security Council resolutions since its inception, especially the ones pertaining to Sudan, were only made to exert political pressure on Sudan. The Americans even said that. According to them, they want Sudan to make more compromises. The Iraqi Ministry of Interior announced today the arrest of two leaders affiliated with two separate terrorist groups in Baghdad. According to the Iraqi Interior Ministry spokesman, Major General Abdel Karim Khalaf, a special security force has arrested the terrorist Wathiq Adnan Muhammad al-Aini, the leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Khalaf further said that an Iraqi special force arrested the terrorist Taha Omar Yassin, the leader of the so-called Asa'ib al-Haq brigades.
بعد سلسلة من المراجعات لقضية الاستمرار لبعض التنظيمات الإجرامية.
After a series of investigations into the recent use of magnet bombs and silencers by criminal groups, two terrorist leaders were arrested today in Baghdad. The arrests were made by local security agencies in cooperation with the investigation division of the Iraqi Ministry of Interior.
Upon receiving information from the investigation division of the Ministry of Interior, the local security agencies made the arrests. The investigation division focused on two important areas: the manufacturing and the use of magnetic bombs and the use of silencers. The first suspect was identified as Wathiq Adnan Muhammad Fahd al-Ani, the leader of the so-called Asa'ib al-Haq criminal group. The group has operated in the area of Khark and specifically in the Mansour region. We gathered information on the suspect and the criminal cell he is associated with. Then we obtained an arrest warrant signed by the Honorable Judge of the Criminal Investigation Court. We immediately issued an arrest warrant and raided the suspect's home, where he was taken into custody. Upon searching the suspect's home, we found enough evidence linking Al-Ani to a series of crimes. We discovered more than 180 magnetic bombs, silencers, and bomb manufacturing equipment.
It
seems that the two criminal groups have operated separately due to the heightened security measures and the spread of security outposts staged around Iraqi provinces. One of the two men arrested was working as a writer who wrote children's stories. He is being implicated in several terrorist attacks which have spread fear and death among the citizens of Iraq.
المتهم الآخر كان يعمل في منطقة حي الجهاد.
The second suspect has operated in the area of Al-Jihad neighborhood. Ironically, the suspect is an engineer who was working for a private firm. In fact, he holds a higher education degree. The suspect, whose name is Taha Omar Yassin Al-Ubaidi, was manufacturing magnetic bombs and silencers. The two suspects were arrested in two separate areas where they played a vital role in the manufacturing and the use of magnetic bombs and silencers.
في عملية زرع العبوات اللاصقة وتصنيعها وكواتم الصوت.
The arrests of the two terrorists have led to the pursuit and the arrests of other members who are affiliated with the same two groups. In addition, it has led the authorities to the group's hideouts, where they conducted raids and seized weapons and bombs. Sahara Ibrahimi, Iraqiya, Baghdad.
In another development, the Iraqi security forces in the area of Shuala took over security responsibilities from the multinational forces. Meanwhile, several sport and entertaining centers, which have undergone reconstruction over the past period, reopened today in the Iraqi city of Shuala.
His Highness Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the foreign minister, headed his country's delegation in the international conference to support the Palestinian economy with the reconstruction of Gaza in the Egyptian resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh. In a speech, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan confirmed that the Emirates was and continues to be firm in its position to support the Palestinian National Authority, headed by President Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people and government. From Sharm el-Sheikh, our correspondent, Mohammed Abu Rihab.
With the participation of more than 70 countries and many international organizations, the International Conference for the Reconstruction of the Gaza Strip was held in the Egyptian resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh. There was major Arab attendance. Most of the Arab foreign ministers participated, including His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Foreign Minister of the United Arab Emirates. In his speech at the conference, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed called on the international community to take responsibility for the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip.
At this conference, we are faced with a serious challenge that we must overcome by intensifying our efforts and unifying our positions to prevent negative consequences on Gaza, in particular, and in the entire region in general.
The UAE foreign minister commended the Egyptian efforts to return unity among the Palestinians and achieving a lasting cooling-off period. His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed also said that his country's position is clear and firm in supporting the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian Liberation Organization as the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. In this context, he revealed that the amount of aid from the Emirates to the Palestinian people during the past years have been more than $3 billion, indicating that the Emirates will participate with the reconstruction efforts in Gaza in the amount of $174 million.
On this occasion, I would like to point to the amount of aid that has been offered by the Emirates, which includes infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and residential cities. The amount of this aid is valued at more than $3 billion.
This aid is part of the Emirates' clear and firm support of the Palestinian people, especially during periods of crisis, which these people go through amidst continued Israeli aggression against the people of the West Bank and Gaza. The United Arab Emirates had sent hundreds of tons of medical and humanitarian supplies to the Palestinian people inside of Gaza during the latest Israeli aggression and after the ceasefire on January 18th. Mohammed Abu Rahab, Abu Dhabi Television, Sharm el-Sheikh.
قناة أبو ظبي شرم الشيخ.
Washington is to send 2 diplomats to Syria. Hillary Clinton made the announcement while visiting Israel for the first time as U.S. Secretary of State. She's also told Israeli leaders that a Palestinian state is the best path towards peace. From Jerusalem, Jackie Rowland reports.
The incoming Secretary of State arrives for a meeting with the outgoing Israeli Foreign Minister. If the body language is anything to go by, these are 2 women who see eye to eye. And in public at least, Hillary Clinton and Tzipi Livni appear to agree on the need to establish a Palestinian state.
We discussed, among many other things, our common commitment to a 2-state solution as part of a comprehensive, secure peace with Israelis, Palestinians, and the Arab neighbors.
We are working with the international community in order to help the population as long as it comes through the PA, the legitimate Palestinian Authority.
But Livni is on her way out of office, and Clinton will be dealing with a new Israeli government next time she visits. That government will most likely be led by Benjamin Netanyahu. Clinton wasn't expected to put pressure on him this time. She's giving him a chance to form his coalition. And right now, Netanyahu won't even give an unambiguous commitment to the 2-state solution. The new American administration remains a staunch supporter of Israel, but it does seek a different path in the Middle East, one based on dialogue. And that may bring it into conflict, at least behind closed doors, with a new right-wing Israeli government that believes when it comes to issues like Jerusalem and illegal Jewish settlements, there is nothing to talk about. Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera, Jerusalem.
State Hillary Clinton played a major role in raising money from donor nations to help rebuild Gaza. While the amount world leaders pledged was significant, concerns abound about how funds will actually make it past Hamas to needy Palestinians in Gaza. IBA's Elisha Rabin has more.
We have made a pledge of over $900 million for humanitarian and early recovery assistance.
That $900 million is just a part of the more than $5 billion world leaders pledged to help rebuild Gaza at the Sharm el-Sheikh conference. But raising money wasn't the problem. How the money gets to the Palestinians in need is. At the heart of the issue, Hamas, and the role world leaders want to play in making sure the money is distributed using entities other than the terrorist group. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton never said how the U.S. would keep money out of Hamas' hands, but she made it clear that the U.S. stands behind the Palestinian Authority under Fatah.
As a general principle, we believe it is important for Israel to work with its responsible Palestinian partners, including President Abbas and Prime Minister Fayyad, to improve the lives of Palestinians and to expand opportunities for Palestinians, and to strengthen their capacity to govern the Palestinian people and move toward a viable state.
A reporter asked Clinton if the United States would even consider direct talks with Hamas. Clinton was straightforward that Hamas would have to change if the group wants legitimacy in America's eyes.
That there are certain principles that Hamas would have to adopt in order for any of us to engage with Hamas. Recognize Israel, renounce violence, and agree to abide by the prior PLO agreements. Now, that is not the United States talking. That is the Quartet and the Arab League.
Though curiosity over the United States' stand on the issue under Barack Obama's leadership took center stage at the conference, British Foreign Secretary David Miliband weighed in, but with limited words. He only told reporters that Britain is interested in helping the Palestinian people.
I think these are very important times. The Palestinians need help from the region and from around the world, and we're going to discuss these issues together.
For IBA News, I'm Elisha Rabin.
A letter written by captured IDF soldier Gilad Shalit has been taken to Syria by Deputy Hamas head Musa Abu Marzouk. This according to the Kuwaiti-based Al Jazeera newspaper, which reports that Abu Marzouk met last week with Shalit's captors, who gave him a letter written by the IDF soldier. During his short visit to Gaza on Thursday night, Marzouk reportedly met with some of the leaders of Hamas military wing in the Strip and with Shalit's captors, including the head of the Hamas military wing, Ahmed Jabari. Timed to coincide with the arrival of U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Peace Now has released a report claiming that there are plans to construct 73,000 additional apartment units in West Bank settlements. Some of the plans reported on relate to the expansion of 6 unauthorized outposts. The Housing and Construction Ministry called the report baseless, and a government source said that Peace Now misinterpreted a government document drawn up to show the maximum building density that any site could potentially absorb. Peace Now says it stands by its report, while supporters of settlement expansion say they wish it reflected the reality on the ground.
We are hoping that Hillary Clinton will make it very clear for the Israeli government that regarding the settlements activity, the answer is no. Israel should not build in the West Bank and should obey the roadmap that says in a very clear way no housing construction in the West Bank until there will be a peace treaty between Israel and Palestine.
The government of Netanyahu should understand that Jews are allowed to live everywhere in their homeland, in the land of Israel, that the Palestinians should have one national state, and that is Jordan, and they have one already. They do not need 2 states.
The residents of Jerusalem boycotted a visit by the mayor of Jerusalem, Menir Barakat, to the neighborhood of Bustan in the village of Silwan in Jerusalem, during which he intended to open a primary school. The residents of the Bustan neighborhood and other Silwan neighborhoods responded to the visit with an announcement of a public strike and raised the Palestinian flag. The strike was throughout the Bustan neighborhood, and schools were suspended as a group of students met Barakat with Palestinian flags, forcing the police and occupation border guards to interfere and take down the Palestinian flags. The visit of the Jerusalem mayor to the neighborhood comes one day after 2 Palestinian homes were demolished and amidst threats to demolish nearly 90 others in the Silwan neighborhood.
This visit is unacceptable to the residents and the students of Silwan because it comes at a time when the homes in Silwan are being demolished. Yesterday, 2 houses were destroyed in Silwan. 10 days ago, there were orders to demolish the Bustan neighborhood, which includes more than 1,600 citizens and more than 88 homes. These homes are threatened with demolition and its residents with expulsion. Menir Barakat cannot expect the residents of Silwan to welcome him with open arms at a time when he threatens our existence and threatens our Palestinian identity.
We go back in history to 1910. Jaser's castle was built by the Jaser family in Bethlehem and was named after it. It was the destination for the poor. Then it was transformed into a jail, and then to a school, and then to a hotel, where leaders stay when they visit Bethlehem.
Jaser House, Jaser Prison, Jaser School, Jaser Hotel, Jaser Palace. For nearly 100 years, it has many names but only one location. The architectural blueprint for the structure was given as a gift by a German traveler to his Palestinian friend, Jaser, an affluent man in Bethlehem, who was known for his kindness and generosity to the poor.
If someone went hungry, he would be told to go to Jaser's house to eat. They had pots of food prepared for them. Those people were well-to-do in Bethlehem and generous.
We sat with the local community leader, Abu Muhammad, to recall the memories of nearly a half a century. He was at the palace during many special occasions to tour the site among the many historical pillars. He sits in the dining hall that no longer feeds the poor. Although the place has remained the same, the times have not. No longer do the poor come here after parts of the palace were transformed into wings and official hotel suites, where leaders from as far as Washington to China have stayed.
Abu Ammar, الرئيس الصيني, Abu Mazen, Tony Blair,
Abu Ammar, the Chinese president, Abu Mazen, Tony Blair, the German foreign minister, the U.S. Secretary of State, and the British Prime Minister. Many important people have stayed at this hotel.
من الناس المهمين اللي نزلوا بالفندق هذا.
The current owners paid $550 million for the old palace, which was used for years as a girls' and boys' school. The company constructed hundreds of rooms and facilities without disturbing some of the features of the old prison, which were administered by the English when they had a mandate over Palestine. This is true of the Jaser kitchen for the poor and the relic of the clay ovens, which was transformed into decor that may or may not be beneficial.
The palace has become just one entrance of the many entrances to the hotel. The managing corporation has pledged to the Palestinian National Authority that it will maintain this heritage and not change it.
The stones of this palace witness the stories of the rich, the poor, the revolutionaries, the students, as well as smiles and tears. As the Algerian historian Al-Tahir Wattar said, nothing remains in the valley except for its stones. The stones of the Jaser Palace narrate the legacy of this place, from a symbol of human oppression to a place that houses and feeds the poor and needy to a secondary school today, the most luxurious hotel in Palestine.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic Video Podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.